I was born in 1963. It was a very turbulent time in America. I actually was born before blacks had civil rights. So my parents were pretty much hippies. You know, they smoked weed around the house. They did a lot of drugs. As I was growing up, um, it was kind of crazy, you know, because I was taught really not to trust before I was taught to trust anything. I was taught, you don't trust the man who's the government. You don't trust the police. And it was kind of crazy too because on the government dollar, you look at the back, it says "In God We Trust." So I'm like, So if I don't trust the government, then who's this God they trust? You know. And my parents didn't really instill any type of spiritual um, belief or understanding. They were raised as Catholics, which was, something they learned, but it wasn't something that they followed. And I think my father, I remember him sending my brother and I sometimes to church, kind of like, he's like, well, I'm not going to raise a couple of heathens, so you guys go to church. And we didn't understand. He never talked to us, and that church is kind of spooky if you've ever been to a Catholic church. There's a priest who stands up and he talks at you. He don't really talk to you. He kind of talks at you, and he speaks about God and God in a fashion that he's going to punish you and if you don't do the right thing, and you can't really talk to God. You talk to me, so I have to talk to the priest. Priest talks to God. God talks to the priest, and then the priest comes and tells me, "Oh, well, you have to do this many Hail Marys and this many Our Fathers, and you'll be good," So it was such a distant relationship with God. So I kind of grew up feeling, I knew He was up there, but I felt that it was a very performance-based situation, that if I was acting a certain way, God would do things for me. If I'm not acting a certain way, God was going to leave me alone. So I spent a lot of time just trying to be left alone. I think I was overexposed to a lot of things too early. And so I think that's where my battle with man and God and myself began at a very early age. My mother was a very serious alcoholic. She was very physically abusive, very verbally abusive. She left me with people that were sexually abusive to myself. Not having direction, not having God in my life and understanding, I just wondered why God let so many things bad happen to me. I knew I was an alcoholic the first time I had a drink because I drank to excess. I drank until I couldn't drink anymore. I threw up. But it didn't stop me. I liked the idea of being inebriated, being out of control. And the reason I'm saying all this is because coming to a better way was the first time that any process worked for me. I'm what everyone calls like a retread. I came in originally in 2019, December 2019, and I stayed for 10 months. And then COVID came, and I don't know if you guys remember when COVID was like new, people were dying, man, all over the world. People were just dying. And I was like, man, I'm not dying up here a better way, man. I got to go. So I left. I left after 10 months. I went back to California. And it's kind of crazy, man, because for 2 years, I did okay, and I took the program with me. I used to ask God, though. I'm like, well, man, what's happening? I'm stuck. Things aren't really happening the way I thought, man. I'm out here, and I'm trying to get a job. You won't let me work. And he pretty much let me know. He's like, AJ, you didn't, first of all, you left the program I had for you. I had something for you, and you left early. You didn't finish. I'm a finisher, right? So you leave, and you go and you get with this woman who you're not going to marry, you're living in sin, you're doing all this, you're not taking care of the little things, so I can't give you the big things. He said, you need to go back and finish what I gave you. Go back and finish that program and then see what's up. We'll talk later. I felt like I had to come back. So my first night here in the program, I really laid in bed and I cried. I heard a train going by, and the sound of the whistle and the train tracks was so soothing. And there were no sirens, there were no gunshots, there were nobody yelling, man. It was the country quiet, and I felt at peace. And I felt that God had brought me back to a good place. And I laid in that bed, and I really felt like I had come back home. I've got some really good friends here that love me regardless of some of the things that I might say and do. I'm not perfect, of course. I came to a better way because I need help with my attitude. And I didn't realize how that pride that I always put so much weight on, how that was keeping me away from God. Because anytime that you say, you know what, hey, God, check it out, I got this. No, I don't need you right now. I got this. That's pride. It was weird, my first day coming into this place because, these guys are all huggy and talking about I love you, and I'm not used to that. I'm not with all that physical touching and hugging, even in my family there wasn't a lot of physical hugging and touching. So here these dudes, these guys are strangers, man, and man, a lot of them are younger than me, man, and they're all, hey, we love you, we're gonna love on you until you love yourself, AJ. And that blew my mind. I like that whole prospect of we're gonna love on you until you love yourself. And it worked. This program introduced me to the Holy Bible. And I was told, hey, look, if you read into the New Testament and you find out who Jesus is, you're going to find out who you are. And once you find out who you are in the eyes of God, you're going to be okay. I said, whoa, really? I said, well, I didn't know I could talk to the big dude like that. And they're like, no, you can. You can have a personal relationship with God. And I was like, man. Okay, all right, no middleman, no nothing. I could go direct to him. Talk to him anywhere I need to. They say, don't have to be fancy, AJ. Just talk to him. Give him your heart. The moment that I did finally give in to God and say, okay, you know what? You got it, man. You're orchestrating this thing. My life is yours. I forgot. In fact, not that I forgot. I didn't know that I was born to serve you. I didn't know that I was born to glorify you and do what you want me to do. I always thought, AJ had all these things because AJ was fast. AJ was slick. He was quick enough. He was bad enough. He was tough enough to take it, It was all wrong. I only have what God allows me to have. The Florida trip was pretty awesome. I actually went, when I went, it was like 2020. We get to Florida. Man, I've never been to Florida before, man. Brother John's got this house laid out where everybody had their own little bunk beds, but they were like cool little bunk beds. It's not like here, they're nicely made with little drawers in them and everything. One of the first things I did, because I am from California, the beach, I'm not foreign to it, so I didn't want to run and just jump in the water. The first thing I wanted to do was I saw like some kids playing over there, and I asked, can I borrow their bucket and some of their shovel? And I just started digging a tunnel, man. I started making like a sandcastle. And I realized, Brother John's sitting over there just watching me. And so finally, and I think he started filming it. And then at some point he was like, hey, check it out, AJ. And I was like, yeah, what's up? Because I spent a good 2 hours doing it. And he's like, I've been doing this ministry with men for over, I don't know, maybe 20-something years, he said. And out of all the guys I've ever brought to Florida, you are the first dude that sat here and built a sandcastle. I think when I finally came to this place, I realized that God had more in store for me. That He basically let me know that stay still, listen, take in my word, and I forgive you, AJ. I know what you've been through. I was there all this time. I forgive you. In the moment that happened, my life changed because I was able to forgive myself because I was a very bad person, very selfish. And when I was able to forgive myself, then I could forgive those that hurt me. So it's a big circle. And God's forgiveness has meant so much to me. I'm sorry, I get emotional about it because His loving embrace, His grace, His mercy, His unconditional faith in me, a life that I tried to throw away, but He wouldn't let me. He said, no, man, I got something for you. Just hang in there, bro. I got something for you. My Heavenly Father has loved me more than anything that I've ever experienced in this life, and I'm rich with the treasure of what He has given me, what He has provided me with, and I'm eternally thankful. I spent, I'm 59 years old, and I have spent my whole life doing things my way, And he let me know, he said, look, man, you got your amount of time in doing things your way. Now, if you just do things my way for a little while, I'm going to balance it out. It's going to be okay. I'm going to call it even. And that's the best deal I could ever get.